great when you are.
Yeah. First, I want to give a lot of credit to Texas Tech. I thought they played a great game today and controlled different facets of the game that we usually do. And, they had our backs against the wall. I think we were down 10, under the 4-minute media. But credit to our players and our staff. I thought we did a great job staying the course, not getting too high, not getting too low, not trying to make hero defensive plays down the stretch. We executed our fouls. And these two guys next to me made some big-time shots. And at the end of the day, great teams are as good as their players lead them, and Walter's done a great job all year that way. Tommy's played his tail off for us across every game this season, and I'm really proud of these guys for the way they stepped up and made 2 big threes each down the stretch. I think we finished the game on a 17-4 run that allowed us to win, and would not have happened without these guys next to me.
Questions for the players from the room?
Nathan Candler from the Bay Area News Group. Walter, what was just kind of going through you guys' minds as they get the alley-oop slam to go up 10? What was just talked about in that moment to get you guys to go on that run?
Just staying together. We all kept telling each other to stay together, stay the course. There was a lot of time left on the clock, so keep on playing to the final buzzer. Don't break during adversity.
Lindsay Schnell, Athletic. Walt, we asked you the other day about what it was like to be compared to Steph Curry. You did a pretty good impression of him tonight. I wondered, before you hit the shot that tied it, because then the next 3 you hit that gave you guys the lead was probably the biggest shot you've ever hit. The one before it was the biggest shot. What was the biggest shot coming into this game that you had ever hit?
I don't know. If you ask everybody, it was probably the one versus UConn. But honestly, I can't even remember right now. So I'll probably say UConn one.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Tommy, you guys held them to 2 points, I think, in the final 3 minutes. Just what flipped the switch defensively, you think kind of late in the game, because they were getting a lot, and particularly a lot down low earlier in the game?
Yeah, I think I did a pretty bad job of limiting some of their bigs to the tendencies, and what's his name number 5 kept getting to his right hand, and I think at the end of those last couple minutes we locked in on that scout and just trusted it, and it worked off, and that's credit to the coaches and also the players just for executing that.
Yeah, Edgar Thompson, the Orlando Sentinel, for both guys. Just how exciting is it to be going to the Final Four and doing it in this manner? With such really a comeback for the ages.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I'm dreaming. I was watching Round of 64 in 8th grade, sneaking my phone into science class watching it. So now to say I'm playing in the Final Four is wild. It's wild.
It's just an amazing feeling. I just said it multiple times. We just got a group of guys that love each other. So just doing this together, just seeing each other's successes, that mean a lot.
Scott Howard Cooper from Hoops HQ. Walter, take me through the emotions as you're hitting those threes. You and Thomas have got the run going, turning the tide. What are you feeling? What's going through your mind? And what are you seeing in the opponent as to how that is demoralizing them?
For sure. I think I definitely seen them, a couple shots when they kind of turned around, looked at their bench like how. So, honestly, nothing was going through my mind. My mind was kind of just blank. Thankful the shots went in, but we was locked in until the final buzzer sounded. So my mind was blank, honestly.
All right, Fransbury Gator Bait. What is it about you guys? I mean, there was the South Carolina game, you're dead in the water. The Arkansas game, you're dead in the water. We've had games like this all year, and is there just this undying belief that it's never over until we decide it's over?
Nah, for sure. It's definitely, like you said, an undying belief. But I think it goes to show how together we all are. Many teams, could easily just break, start pointing the finger, blaming each other for this and that. But we just stay together through the end, stay the course, and then thankfully we got it done today.
Yeah, I mean, you got guards like these guys. The game's never over with them, and Denzel too. It's just wild.
Chris Harry, FloridaGators.com. Walter, you're the first team All-American. You get so much attention. You hit big shots, and you deserve all that. But you guys weren't playing great, and maybe the only reason you're even in the game late is because of that guy to your left. How would you describe what he meant to the team today and what he's meant to the team all season?
Man, he's meant everything. You know what I'm saying? I said it multiple times. I think multiple guys on our team don't get enough recognition. I think Tommy's definitely one of them. He just come in every day, put his head down, he works. you know, it's a lot more to his game, but he's sacrificing for the team. You know, he plays his role and he does everything we need him to do. So I'm thankful for him, and I love him, and let's get 2 more, my boy.
Further questions from the room? Last one from the room here, and then we'll go to Zoom.
Lindsay Schnell, The Athletic. So do you think that the Steph comparisons are now accurate? Now are you comfortable with that?
I mean, I don't know, man. That's arguably the greatest point guard in the history of basketball. So I got a ways to go. I wouldn't quite compare myself yet, but just thankful for the recognition.
I think he is. I don't know, man. Like he said, he's the greatest point guard all the time. So I don't know.
Last question from Zoom here. We'll go to James Hill. James.
Hey, Walter and Hawk and the guys and Coach, congratulations on that victory. It's James Hill down in Sarasota with ABC7. Talk a little bit about just that never say die, that Gator mentality. You guys are just sticking around. You won't give up, and you're winning.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like I said, you know, guys could just, you know, break apart during those moments. We all stay the course, stay together, and I think that just goes to show the togetherness of the team, the love that we all have for each other, just to, you know, get through those tough times, because we went through tough times, you know, during the summer, during practice and stuff like that. So just stay together, stay the course. Like you said, Gator mentality, play to the final buzzer.
Now you've punched a ticket to the Final Four. I know it's still fresh, but what's the thought process as you can go into San Antonio and look to get 2 more?
For sure. Definitely going to enjoy the night. You know, we definitely going to enjoy the night, possibly tomorrow. We don't know yet. But then we're going to see who we playing, you know, watch these other games and, you know, focus on the next one. We understand it's not over yet.
All right, Walter, Thomas, thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
Great job, fellas.
Okay, we'll open it up to questions for Coach Golden from the room. Josh?
Josh Shootout with AP. When you're down late, you give those couple fouls for the one-on-ones, and they miss it. What goes in the thought process of doing that at that point that early, and how important was that in sort of fueling that comeback?
Yeah, they do a great job of milking the game. You know, when they have a lead, obviously Darion and Toppin are both really good individual one-on-one players, and you know, it felt like from like the 8-minute mark to the 4-minute mark, they were just kind of getting them in ISO situations, and we don't double on the post a lot, so they're getting late clock and putting the ball in. So we felt like, you know, being down 9 or 10, whatever it was, at the under 4, that we had to find a way to get a few more possessions in the ball game and try to stretch it out a little bit. And being in the 1-on-1, we thought that was an opportunistic time to foul their front court, you know, given the opportunity. Toppin was the guy we wanted to foul. And, you know, Williams, you know, was the second option. And fortunately, they missed 2 front ends, you know, and those were big-time plays that flipped the game a little bit, allowed Tommy to hit, you know, a second 3 to cut it to 3. I think they missed the next one as well, and obviously Walter came down, hit a big-time shot, and they came down and got a bucket, then Walter hit another 3. And, you know, it was just kind of a calculated decision we had to make at that point where we wanted to get more possessions in the game, and it worked out well for us.
Lindsay Schnell, The Athletic. Todd, I know you've watched Walt do a lot of crazy and impressive things over the last couple seasons, but are you ever surprised, or were you just, like, waiting for him to take the game over?
You know, he's obviously a blessing to have in our program, have in our team. You know, he's an incredible player, but outside of that, he's a great leader. And he's been everything, you know, we could have asked him to be for this program since he got to campus 2 years ago. And, you know, obviously this year he's taken on a lot more ball handling responsibilities for us. He's closed out a lot of games for us. And there's not another player in America you would rather have right now than Walter Clayton with the ball in his hands in a big-time moment. As he said, I think he just said he blacked out or whatever, but he doesn't get too high or too low. And, you know, he does a great job controlling his emotions. And, you know, most players in that moment would, you know, their heart rate would get up, they'd get a little, and he has that special talent and ability to stay even keeled. And, you know, the biggest thing in those moments is you need to have somebody that wants to take those shots. You know, they're obviously difficult plays, but someone that has the confidence to step up and make incredible individual plays. And Walter did that for us tonight.
Steve Cronin from San Francisco Chronicle. Todd, congrats.
Thank
I know
you.
You've talked a lot about Kyle Smith and Randy Bennett the last couple days. I want to ask you again, specifically, what's one thing, either X's and O's or interpersonal, you got from Randy that you've taken to heart, and one thing X's and O's or interpersonal you got from Kyle that you take to heart?
Yeah, first with Coach Bennett, I kind of thought about this after the game. At the under 4, he's always so good about staying the course, and trusting his program, trusting what he does. And that was the moment that we were in at the under 4 when we were down 9 or 10. It was like, hey, we can't panic. We can't try to make hero plays. That Texas Tech is too good to try to do that. They're going to beat you if you try to, kind of get outside of your comfort zone and do something that isn't within the team. And so, albeit down 10, we just did everything we could to stay consistent. Obviously, we pressed, we fouled a little bit, but we executed really, really well. And that's something that I think, Coach Bennett's teams always do. And for Coach Smith, I'm just most grateful for the opportunity that he provided me back, at St. Mary's. He recruited me as the associate head coach at the time, or head assistant, and just the accountability, that he always held me to, the standard that he always held me to. As a player, I walked on at first and then earned a scholarship, but they never let me off the hook, and they always treated me, like I needed to always be perfect. And at the time, I would get frustrated with their intense coaching and Coach Smith's intense coaching. But looking back on it, I'm just grateful for the belief that he had in me and the opportunity that he provided me at St. Mary's, and being able to play for those guys and go to 2 NCAA tournaments was definitely kind of the backbone of my coaching career now.
Kyle Waniger with ESPN. Tommy plays starters minutes, but you use him in that role coming off the bench. What about his skill set, his game is well suited for that role, especially tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's great in any role. He could easily start for us, obviously. He did start for us quite a bit when Kondo was out. And, Tommy's just continued to improve so much since he got to campus. He was good for us last year. Helped us win a lot of games, but I think he only averaged like 3 points and 4 rebounds a game. But his jump that he's made from his freshman to sophomore year has been incredible, and just his ability to shoot the basketball. He's become an elite 3-point shooter, elite free throw shooter, areas that he struggled a little bit last year. He's so good with the ball. He's a great pressure release for our guys, catching the ball in the middle floor. Kondo as well, but both those guys are great that way. And just his defensive versatility is huge for us. But, the thing about Tommy, and, it goes for other guys on a roster as well, he's a winning player. He just finds ways to impact the game and to help the team win. One of, if not the most unselfish guys out there. Just being comfortable coming off the bench when he could be starting for pretty much any team in America. Obviously, he's going to start for us next year, but he's just a fantastic player. He's a great person. Comes from a great family, and he was just brought up the right way, man. And he's super, super unselfish. He's grateful to be at Florida, and obviously myself and my coaching staff are grateful that he's a part of our program.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Kind of a two-parter here, Todd. You guys started out 5 and 19 from 3. Did he sense the threes were going to kind of come late? And what was your demeanor like on the bench, particularly in maybe encouraging guys to shoot and get stops and so forth in that final 4 minutes?
Yeah, I was discouraged, for a while because, I was looking down at the stat sheet after the medias in the second half, and really the only glaring defense was their success shooting the ball. They were shooting the ball at about 45%. I think they were 9 for 20 at one point, so they must have went 1 for 7 on their last few. But that was the difference in the game for a while. Everything else was pretty consistent. We rebounded about the same rate. We got some free throws, did a great job knocking those down. We lived at the line, which was huge. Turned it over a little more than they did, but a lot of that stuff was back and forth. The 3-point shooting was the difference for a while. But down the stretch, obviously, I think we made our last 4, and we needed every single one of them, and they were huge for us.
Yeah, Todd, couple here. Darian Williams, who's got to be more than 225 pounds, by the way, is what kind of problem did he pose? And did you ever feel like, not a sense of hopelessness, but just getting frustrated how he was just kind of just pounding it in there?
Honestly, I thought we did a great job on both those guys for a majority of the game. Not all the game. The last 10 minutes, they started wearing us down and putting us in the basket a little bit. But over the first 30 minutes, our issue was not guarding them in the post. Toppin finished 9 for 22, Darian 9 for 18. So, not necessarily crazy efficient, but they were getting us down the stretch. And that was a little bit, we were talking about, all right, should we start blitzing these guys, doubling them a little bit? Darion's a great player. He's a great passer, and that was concerning to me. I didn't want to run bodies at him because he's very good at making the right play, and I thought giving up threes at that point would be daggers for us. So we stayed the course. I thought we did a good job late of kind of squeezing him in the paint. When it got tight, we ran bodies on him, and he couldn't see out, and that worked for us. But we talk about staying the course. They were twos. They're twos, and they weren't threes, and we were able to get enough stops down the stretch.
And just what's it mean to you? This moment, going to get to the Final Four. I mean, it's got to be, surreal, as you like to say sometimes.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's a direct result of the work that our players have done all year, and the work my staff has done. They've all, to a man, been incredibly consistent, unselfish, and worked their tail off. And we don't do this without the collective work of our program. But I'm incredibly proud, to be able to be here in year 3. And, to get Florida back to the Final Four, is something that's incredibly special. And, when I was fortunate enough to get this position 3 years ago, I'm not sure this was, something that, hey, get to the Final Four by year 3, but we're awfully proud of it.
Friendsbeard, Gator Bait. Todd, you talked several times before about being in a huddle and looking at guys in the eyes and talking about what you see. Okay, you're down 3. Are you seeing, okay, we got this? What do you see in their eyes at that point in time?
Yeah, under 4 media was the one that sticks out. We were down 9 or 10, whatever it was. And, the message was we got to make every winning play down the stretch, And, again, our guys, our 3 seniors, Tommy, Kondo, Rube had some good defensive possessions there too. But, that I didn't feel like we were without hope. I felt like our guys still felt like we had a shot, but understood that we didn't have that much time, and we had to pick it up and make sure we got every block out, make sure we got every 50-50 ball, obviously step up and make some big shots. But again, that's the benefit of having great senior leadership in the backcourt. Mart, 2 Final Fours in 2 different programs. I mean, it just speaks volumes about him as a winner. Will Richards, a great winner, leader, just great communicator, and obviously Walter has led us by example all year. So, in those moments, even though you're down 9, you feel about as good as you can, being in that situation, and incredibly proud of the way our guys stepped up and found a way to win this game.
Nathan Candler, Bay Area News Group. Todd, Chance McMillan didn't play the last 4 games. Was there anything that you guys did preparation-wise? I know you can't prepare for if he's going to play or not going to play, but in the day leading up to it to kind of prepare for his impact on the floor?
Yeah, he was in the scouting report. Obviously, he's a great player. I actually recruited Chance when I was the head coach at USF, and so I've known him for a long, long time. And we were disappointed when they said he was playing because he hadn't been playing, and we knew that he was going to be hard to guard. And he's a great shooter, great scorer, gives Texas Tech more depth, and that was an area that we felt like would be a benefit to us. But he still had a great game. He was 5 for 11. I thought he hit big shots in moments in this game. But he did a good job tonight.
A couple times this season you referenced, I believe, I think it was after Kentucky, maybe even after Auburn, when maybe we're talking that Walt was the college version of Steph Curry. I'll bite and throw this at you in this building. What do you think about that now?
I mean, it's and I thought Walt had a great answer. I think in his mind, like everything that Steph has been able to do in his career, leading this organization to multiple NBA championships, being the best shooter of all time, one of the best winners of all time in the NBA. That's kind of a lot to put on a young man, but I'd say the one thing where Walt 100% is similar to Steph is their incredible shot making, and their ability to get it off whenever they want. Have the IQ and intelligence to get separation and to be unflappable with a hand in his face. And again, just like the Warriors would want Steph to be able to find a way to get open and get those shots in those moments, we want Walt taking those shots for us down the stretch. And there's a reason why he was AP First Team All-American. He's, in my humble estimation, the best guard in America.
Hi, Todd. Congratulations.
Thank
Janie
you.
McCauley from AP. I was just happened to be out there when Kevin hung up a FaceTime with the Columbia AD, and they're going to give him another week with you guys.
Yes, they are.
Yes. No, I mean, but how much does it mean to you? He's 36. You're that's about, you were a head coach a little younger than that, but what does it mean to you to see him kind of go full circle to Columbia and also have this run with you guys before he departs?
Yeah, Hov's, He's an amazing man, and we've shared a lot of times together in our coaching career. I've worked with him, I think, every year but 3 of my coaching career, and he's made me a much better coach. He's always run my offense, but he's like having another head coach in the program. Just incredibly bright, just super mature, great leader, super consistent, and he deserves this opportunity. And for us, and not just myself, but Carlin and the rest of our staff, we're incredibly happy for him, and I know Kyle is really proud of him. And I'm just glad that Peter Pillen, the AD at Columbia, made the right choice and gave this opportunity to Kevin. They're really fortunate to have him, and he's fortunate for the opportunity. And he's going to do a great job. There's no doubt in my mind about that, and I'm going to miss him. But I think the sign of having success is, when guys work with you or they play for you, and then as they move on, their opportunities continue to get better. When they spend time with you, and there's no doubt when Huff came down to Gainesville 3 years ago that this was a goal of his, to become a head coach and have the opportunity to run his own program. And I'm just really happy for him that he was able to do it out of our program. Well, I'm the branch off Kyle's, and Hovde is off mine as well. So I got Hovde, Anderjack, and I take credit for Chris Gerlison as well at San Francisco. Thank you.
Last 2 questions here from the room.
All right, Coach. Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. You've got a rotation that's probably 8 men deep, and you talk about Tommy. He might be starting for just about any program in America other than Florida. So, what does that kind of depth allow you to do in a game like this, where maybe some lineups and some combinations are getting a little bit stifled? And, how does that allow Florida to win games like this?
Our depth is why we win games like this, because there's going to be nights where certain players don't have their best, and you need other guys to step up. And we kept it at 8 tonight. I just wanted to play Herb, but felt like we wanted to keep it tight early. I thought Zell gave us good minutes. But again, you need to have depth, and you need to have multiple guys that can step up when other guys aren't playing their best, and that's why we've been good all year. That's why we've been consistent. That's why we haven't lost 2 in a row. We haven't gotten any droughts or any situations where just nobody's stepping up. And obviously it was Tommy's night tonight to do that. I thought Micah gave us great minutes off the bench, went 3 for 3, had that big tip in, and obviously Walter stepped up down the stretch as well.
Last one here.
Lindsay Schnell, The Athletic. Todd, so how long do they get to celebrate? They seemed they were looking to you for guidance. So I wondered if you would share with us.
We'll have a night tonight, to kind of soak this up and take it in, and then we're going to fly back to Gainesville tomorrow morning. We'll get back probably right in time to watch Auburn play right around 5 o'clock. And, we'll get back together on Monday, and we'll start preparing for whoever wins that game. But we're going to enjoy it tonight for sure. If you don't enjoy the victories, this is a tough profession to be in. So we will enjoy it. Incredibly proud of our program, and I'm excited to head to San Antonio this week.
It sounds like tomorrow night, too.
They won't be doing anything tomorrow night. I can promise you that.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Congrats.
Go Gators.